Good morning, Pulsicans. How are we doing out there in crypto land? I see we have a little bit of green on the price chart. Yes, we all are out here in Copeland. Anytime I see a green candle, you get excited, and then the next thing you know, a well smacks it down and we see more red. Although that argument cannot be said for PulseX and Inc., where they've been holding their value versus Pulse and the dollar for the last, I don't know, a couple weeks. Pulse is the only one that's been going down. Same with Hex. I don't know where the bottom is going to be at. I had called it on the show about a week and a half ago. I thought Pulse bottom was in, although I'm very close. I don't need to be perfect with my bottom call, guys. I can be like within 20%, and that makes me makes my money DCAing into these assets still a good thing. So I'm happy I still DCA'd, and I'm going to DCA probably next week. Although I am going to be very strategic with my DCA. I want to see if we do see more downward pressure. To Dane's point, by the way, guys, he will be off the show today. He might try to come in at the last minute and say hi. But to Dane's point, yeah, we have been catching a falling knife if you have been DCAing this the last month or two. And it's tough, man. You don't want to always keep catching the falling knife, and you want to be a little bit strategic on your dollar cost averaging. And that's why DCA is always king, right? You want to come in and DC your way into these assets. But guys, thank you so much for joining us on our show today. Well, we're talking about how we're using cryptocurrency as that wealth creation tool, why the timing is here, because make no mistake, the opportunity to change yours and your family's life is now in crypto. Never financial advice. We're only speculating as to doing the internet, but I truly believe, at least for my money and my family and my friends, and you guys are my friends, this is the time to change our lives. And then when the timing is right and the market cycles tell us, and it could be as early as beginning of next year, we're going to start taking profits and use that money to go into a true bear market hedge that no one ever talks about, and that's real estate. We like real estate. We like being the money in real estate deals. I'll give you an example. I have a real estate deal I've been involved in for the last couple of years. And I'm getting about 20% cash on cash. And so like in the crypto world, that's, yield, right? Like you call that yield. And the underlying asset has been very stable. I have tax benefits, although I don't need that no more because I'm in Puerto Rico. But it's a great way to preserve your wealth. It's just a great way to do it. So like, why not use the tools that are given to you right now? Obviously, I know you guys around the world, have different tax type shelters. You need to talk to your CPA or tax accountant or whatever tax professional to see if what would work for you and in your jurisdiction, because obviously it's different everywhere. And but for the U.S., real estate offers probably some of the best tax advantages. And even if you're just a money in real estate deals, which is what we like to be, what we call limited partner, which stands, we call it LP. So sometimes when I'm talking to people are like, yeah, to be an LP in this deal, I'm like, we're going to liquidity provide for this deal. Like it always, my peanut brain gets them confused all the time, but it's also called LP. And so when we're doing LP in a deal like apartment syndication, you can put money in, you get amazing returns, and you get the tax benefits, not always, but most of the time. And then you can also get the price appreciation. So cool stuff that we'll be talking about next year. Fortunate enough, we work with all these operators, and we will have no shortage of deals, which is going to be an absolute blast. But in the meantime, man, it's crypto where it's where it's at, man. These prices are just too juicy for me to pass up. I cannot pass these up, man. So I'll be dollar cost averaging in. Dane will be waiting on the sidelines. He wants to see better price structuring. I'm going to put a bullet in next week, maybe even the end of this week, depending on when we get some more money on chain. So let's go in the chats, guys, and see what everyone is saying today. Paul Sachs, man, first to the party. What is up, bro, man? Hear ye. Opportunities for everyone. It is, man. Let me, just for fun, just for shits and giggles, let's go to the pulse chain price chart. That's what you guys are all here for, anyways, right? You don't care about me. You care about the pulse chain price chart and what it's doing. That's what you really care about. And you see this little green candle down here. If you guys, I hope you guys can see my screen. This is our cope. This is our cope candle right here. Okay, this is us coping, hoping this is the bottom. It may not be. It could get smacked down by some whales, especially if there are certain whales who are selling while other wallets are supporting the price of Pulse X. It can continue going down. We don't know, right? We're speculating. We're dudes on the internet. But yeah, I thought bottom was somewhere in this area here. Obviously, we're going a little bit lower, but like once I said, man, as long as I'm in 20% of my bottom call, I'm happy about it. Let's see what the other assets are doing. Pulse X is looking beautiful. Pulse X is always beautiful though, because I feel like that was what is getting the most support. Look at that, guys. In my opinion, man, I might not have been right about the bottom on Pulse, but I'm probably pretty sure I'm right about the bottom about Pulse X. We even got a little W inside there. We like seeing that. See, here's a little W. Hans talks about those all the time. If you go on the bigger time frame, you can go here. There's a W coming in. We can still pop up here, and that would be that W bottom structure. So, man, it's looking beautiful, guys. I like what I'm seeing. Let's look at some of our fan favorite Ink token. I wonder if the Ink Maxi's in the chat today. He's always blessing us with his presence. I had loaded up on some more ink myself this last DCA that I did because, man, I like this structure. We can map it against Pulse. It don't matter how you map it. I mean, this stuff, it sells itself, right? And there we go. Yeah, and I'm bullish on it, guys. It's funny how right now Pulse X is having the bigger green day. And that's just because it's been getting the most support. And even look at the hex. So come on, let's go. I love this. Oh my God, guys, look at this. What? I did not know this. This is like, I'm discovering this with you guys. Look at the cope candle on EHEX. Oh my God, this is too funny. Where are the haters? Where are the haters of EHEX? Let's go on the weekly. Oh my God. This is great, guys. I did not know this. I did not check the EHEX poll chart today. It'll be interesting to see where this closes out on the weekly. What is today? Tuesday? Who knows? But the daily, man, my gosh, look at the cope candle there. Oh, wow. Let's see how this closes, man. If it comes out, obviously we want to see structure. We want to see more downward pressure again. We would want to see a higher low type structure. This basic TA 101. I'm just a dude on the internet. I don't know crap about this stuff. I'm speculating in real time with you guys. But ideally, we'd want to see some kind of structure here and come like some kind of WE pattern and then kind of breaking out. I mean, I don't know, guys. There's a long ways up to that liquidities pocket where Bank X is at. I'm not sure where the range is. I feel like the range is somewhere up here on top of it was like we were right under it before before RH kind of fudded it. I remember we were right under that liquidity pocket. And so it'd be interesting to get up to here, on price. It's literally like an 8X, 7X. Let's look out against Pulse. Oh my gosh, look at this, guys. That is beautiful structure. I mean, God, you guys out there fudding it. I understand why you do it. And I get the reasoning behind it. But I'm telling you, nothing is more accurate or more true than the price charts. I mean, yeah, can Richard FUD it more in the future? Yeah, why not? He could. Look at the weekly, guys. Come on. You got to be kidding me. That's the weekly. Look at the monthly. It's creeping up. Again, this is where all the FUD happened. I don't know, guys. It's interesting to see. Yeah. Can you guys hear my daughter crying in the background? She's getting punished by mom. So yeah, guys, it'd be interesting to see what happens with this stuff. I'm super bullish on eHex in the short term, at least. I don't know. You got to be looking at these things to really figure out where you stand on it. But I like it. Yeah, man, we are so back. We got ourselves a Cope green candle, right? Any green in a sea of red is great news. I agree 100%. Urban Productions were so back. Hold on, guys. I'll be right. My daughter fell and bumped her head really hard. Yep, we are so back. Noon celebrates low highs, harder than hexagons. Yep, absolutely. What up, Mitch? How you doing, bro? What's going on today? Corey, when you're getting out of your 5X, man, I'm looking for more than a 5X, maybe a 10X. Now, man, I'm just gonna, I don't base it off gains. I base it off where we're at in the cycle, and being that we're going into, the next altcoin season, which hypothetically should start in August, I think, October. We'll see where we're at. We're at the end of the year, man. I've seen Sami talk about this a lot. With the cycle and the altcoin season, and we got to see where we're at this next altcoin season top. I don't know, man. Is it a 5X? Is it a 10X? Is it a 20X? There's a lot of factors that are going to determine that. I talk about it on the show all the time. The 4 thrusters to the moon are going to be 1, obviously clarity around the SEC. 2, richer streaming again. Believe it or not, that is a very big factor in this. I know a lot of people say that it isn't. I'm sorry, but the community needs leadership, just how a company needs leadership with their employees. It's no different. So him streaming 3 obviously is, what do we say? Was it ETFs, him streaming, ATFs, yeah, clarity on the SEC, ETFs, him streaming. The ETF liquidity should be starting in coming into the Ethereum. We should start seeing money come into Ethereum July 2nd. It got approved, so that we're going to see that take place, and then obviously privacy on chain. So we'll see Urban Productions. I don't know, man, but I mean, if we get to a topping type area and we're only at 5X, man, I mean, do not take profits. But here's the thing: we did a 5X last time, this in January, our little altcoin season pre-halving altcoin season. That was a 5X there. Pulse did a 5X. PulseX did like a 7 or 8X, and Ink did like a 15X. And so, yeah, you could have took profits there on a 5X. I didn't. So, yeah, we'll see, man. We will see. Need that CST back. Come on, man. I agree, bro. Like, I think they're everywhere else in the world, but United States. And so when we see them coming back into the United States, that's going to be massive because that's a direct on-chain liquidity. Get it in there and get your money on. You avoid the bridge. I mean, this is what we need for adoption, right? How easy can we get money on chain and get to those assets is going to be dependent on how well we get adoption when retail starts coming in. So, guys, we got Dane in. What's up, bro? How you doing, dude? I thought you were going to be sitting out this one today.
I did too, but our marketing team is making adjustments to some of the scripting there, so reschedule there. So we're good.
Cool, man. We went through the price charts. Did you know eHex is the hardest? Everything's pumping today. eHex is up 20%. And if you chart it against Pulse, it is looking beautiful. It's got great structure. Put it on the weekly. And I mean, the thing looks like it just wants to explode. Could be wrong. Don't know, right? Like I'm just a dude on the internet. But it's interesting how, you get all these guys who bash the shit out of it. Man, all I need, man, is good structure. Show me that there's going to be movement. I don't need to go through the BankX liquidity sell wall. For me, man, you got like a 7 or 8X from here to that BankX liquidity wall. I mean, that's a lot of movement, and that can happen in the short term because there's very little liquidity on the offer, or what do they call it? To move it up. It don't take much. And
No.
yeah, it's interesting. I might end up adding another bullet. I already own some EHEX, but I might end up adding another bullet in there when it comes time for my next DCA. So we'll see.
Well, here's a question for you, and I've been thinking about this a lot. So charts that have shown considerable strength up to this point, is there a reason that they would stop showing that strength? Is there a reason that some of the other charts, so for instance, Pultex and Ink have been the strongest Richard Hart tickers? Is there a reason? I'm trying to think of why that would change. Why would those ones start
I'll
showing
give you one.
strength? Yeah, let's talk through those. I think that's interesting. I'm gonna plug the charger. You talk. I'm gonna plug.
Yeah, the how the sentiment would change is if you saw really large wallets giving that that asset a lot more love and support and continuing love and support. And so basically, let's say a large wallet was, may or may not be an OA wallet. I don't know, right? But, pumped up hex. And then no matter what sell pressure came through that pump, that particular wallet absorbed that sell pressure and continuing to absorb that sell pressure and continuing to support that ticker on the new price range, and then maybe even pumping it up more slowly over time. So you would need these larger wallets, and it could be someone like Godwell's wallet. It don't have to be like an OA wallet. It could be like another large wallet coming in and just giving it the love and support that it needs, and then continuing the love and support that it's going to need to get people's faith back in line with that asset. That's what you need. I just don't know if that's going to happen. It's interesting. It's a very interesting thought experiment. But maybe it does at a certain time. I don't know.
So that's definitely like a circumstance, I guess. What is the likelihood? And I say this with the understanding that pretty well everyone has been wrong about most things as far as
Everybody
sentiment has been concerned, right? So, well, what's the common sentiment right now? If logic would follow that pretty well everyone's still wrong, well, what do you see a lot of out there right now? Well, you see you see a lot of talk about the OA pumping everything to the moon. You see a lot of talk about what else? Frankly, you see a lot of sentiment about Hex struggling. And so maybe that reverses, there's a lot of interesting things to be able to determine and say, okay, the crowd is almost always wrong. What are they talking about here? And how can we position ourselves, in a different direction to be able to benefit? I think it's interesting to take the data, and I'm with you definitely, right? Like someone could step in and pump one of the assets in particular, and particularly really strong. Is there a reason not to hedge the things that have been the strongest so far? Like, you're seeing the Ink token hold a level here really nicely.
Great.
You're seeing
Pulse
is well.
X price chart looks amazing.
That's what I'm saying. Whereas the other stuff largely looks like
we don't know.
We've got some green today, but
right.
There's
just no structure.
It is interesting to see Pulse-X green on the weekly. It's been a long time since that has occurred. And so, yeah, like we talked about yesterday, I'm pretty comfortable waiting to see price structure. And that doesn't mean that we have to be up much, frankly. I'd like to see some sideways action on the Pulse.
That's what I would like.
I'd like to see it, Pulse-X and Ink have already been running sideways. So I think you could say with a measured level of confidence that those ones are looking good. But Hex and Pulse have been, neither of them have decent price structure.
Here's a better question for you, Dane. Why doesn't these large wallets support these assets? That's a better question. Why isn't the large wallet supporting them like the way that they support? We've seen it even like during the first little altcoin season we had in January, that a couple months. We even saw it then. Most of the liquidity went into Pulse-X and Ink from the large wallet. I mean, we had a little bit of pumpage, a little bit of liquidity go into Hex, on there. But why isn't that wallet supporting Hex or Pulse right now? What is the intention behind that? What is the thinking behind that? I know why. I have a feeling why Inc needs to be at a much higher price target because he wants to be able to boast high APYs over on our chain to get wells
Well, it's
over
kind of
in the
like the
supervised.
lifeblood, right? Like who's
Yeah,
providing
that's the
LP if the
lifeblood.
rewards suck? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But but what is going on? He gives the other assets, at least the wallets that we know of, so much love and attention, but Pulse and Hex is like, eh. And the only reason why I think
Well,
Pulse does better in Hex is because of retail. I think retail buys Pulse more than it buys Hex. That's what I
well,
think.
I think retail likes selling Hex. I mean, we've seen that on the price chart. Well, anyone that's not the OA loves to sell Hex. They've sold it, sold it some more.
I don't sell it. Maybe I should start.
And the PTSD there, I'm telling you, like I think there's a lot to be
I'm just
said
kidding.
about
I'm not selling.
the PTSD around Hex. You know, like I think a lot of sellers or a lot of holders are burnt and exhausted and tired, and then you have the inflation. This is an interesting thing. You don't see the selling on ink, but you still have inflation just like you do Hex, which is interesting.
We sell, yeah, that is interesting. There is some sell pressure. I mean, for example, the Firewall sells his ink, and that's
But
what
it's
he.
not. But it's not like Hex.
No, it's not.
It's not to the level, and
Uh,
so why is that? One, you have a certain wallet supporting that price. It seems like more than the other, so that's a factor.
it's faith. Yeah, there's faith in that.
But also, yeah, I agree. I think there's faith there where people are like, "This is the new thing." There's not, negative sentiment tied to it, like potentially Hex. I think that there's something about newer, there's something about newer things. There just is.
Yeah, I agree 120%. And I think when retail comes, and they're already, they sprinkle in here and there. And I think they were sprinkling in even this last little altcoin season we had. They understand a layer one. They understand the incentive token because everyone who was here last cycle, even retail who was participating in DeFi summer, that's what they did. They went on in there and they were on Phantom and they were doing the spooky swap with the 1000% APYs and all that. Like there was already an understanding of that product. And so there's a product market fit there where in Hex, the only thing that you really could point to, in my opinion, it's not the T shares. I know the comments will go, oh, T share. No. It's that fact that you said, look, it did a 10,000x before, and we're down 98, 99%. Like, even if we can reclaim half of that move, and if you have a good position, and most coins will reclaim half their move in the next cycle, I think that's a majority. Yeah, that's the only thing I can really point to. And so, look, this thing did a 10,000x. I mean, those
are the bullish things for X. I agree. You could say, well, this is what it did before. You could say liquidity is really thin, so it doesn't take a lot to move it. And to your point, I mean, if you do half the move on EHEX, if you get to 25 cents, it's at 0.0016.
It's massive.
So what is that? I mean, that's freaking.
I mean, give me 25 cents on PHEX, man. That's like a 50x or 40 or 50x.
Yeah, on EHEX, that's like a 200x back to 25 cents.
It's crazy. And it might be a combination, Dane, because I mean, the market, we don't know how the market values these things. They still might value in general, the market might value EHEX and PHEX kind of like as one. And so maybe the combination of both assets reaches 25 cents or 27 cents in its next cycle. And that's the way I think of it.
Yeah, that's not a bad point.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
Yeah, and if you want to hedge towards the one, of course, that is going to get closer to that price target. Of course, it would be PHEX, probably, right? I don't know. I'm just doing the internet, but there's definitely something to be said about that 7 or 8x between where we're at now and that BankX sell wall. That can move fast, really fast, when everything else starts moving too. So, it's interesting to think about, and you can take that profit and roll it right into a pulse bag, or maybe you want to roll it into buying more PHEX, like whatever your thing is. I like that part of that asset. Now,
Yeah. Did you see on the this is pretty interesting. Did you see on the hex price chart how this W is looking like it wants to break out? This is actually pretty cool.
yeah, yeah, bring it up.
You see this right here? So
Yeah,
look at this on in this local high to local low. It's respecting the 0618 beautifully right now. We'll see if it can break it. But look at this W. We have a higher low right here. It's trying to create a higher high above this one right now. Can it create that? I like to see it come back and push back and then come back and retest this level and go off again. And then I'd feel pretty good about where we're at. This is measuring it versus Pulse. So that's encouraging. That's great. That's really encouraging.
yep, I agree. Now we got to see it actually do something.
We got
I
to
want
see
to
it do something. We got to see it hold some levels. Yeah,
Yeah, it's got to break
exactly.
out of that to have confirmation. Otherwise, it could come back down, and it's just part. It'll look like almost how that last structure of the chart looked like. It'll kind of look like that if it doesn't do what it's supposed to do. So,
Yeah.
I'll be right back, Dane. I'll be right back.
Yeah, you're good. So this is an interesting comment. AI Hex Builder says ehex is going to outperform them all. I'm so sure of it. Like, give us some more context. What do you think? Is that just because of liquidity? Who is going to come and buy? Like, who are the buyers? Because there's plenty of them out there, right? Richard came out and said that he preferred phex, and I still like. I think ehex is an interesting token as a meme coin. I think you have to look at it at that point. Like, Richard built Pulse Chain largely for hex, right? So people could come and stake it and use it without getting gouged with gas prices. Now the ETH gas prices aren't that big a deal, at least at this point in the cycle. But man, like, why would you stick on ETH as opposed to coming to the new playground? I get the thinner liquidity. I get, some of that. You also have to consider, kind of like Briz is saying here, yeah, can you reasonably get out of your position? It's so thin. Yeah, can you reasonably get out of that position if you had $1 million? And with the idea that I would be willing to bet that Richard is not putting up liquidity over there. So how much liquidity is there? Like I said, I think with those factors being the case, I think it makes more sense to look at it as a little bit more of a meme coin type of thing. Oh yeah, and that's a fair take. It's closer to the money if you're thinking about it from people from ETH coming over and buying Richard Hart assets. I think that's a really interesting point. Yeah, I like it. Let's see. Say, I know it's just going to do more X's than you think, but you're spot on. I just think about how retail thinks. They think, what's the easiest way to get some hex? Yeah, and they have to take an extra step to get.
He's right.
It's not a bad take. Yeah, I don't think that's a bad take at all.
He's right. I mean, we even saw it before the RH kind of fudded it. We saw like Martini guy accumulating a bunch of ehex and talking to his followers that this is going to reclaim its glory. And then he sold all his ehex and basically told his followers to do that when Richard Hart fudded it. But there was still that was happening, and I can still see that happening again. And so it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, and BankX could move their liquidity position at any point. I think that's a really good point. Yeah, 5-minute chart. BankX will not allow ehex to outperform, and RH is not going to support it. Yeah, I think those are some reasonable factors. And you still have all of the people with all of their stakes looking to exit too. So you still have that sell pressure there. But yeah, I mean, on the other hand, where's been the most FUD? Where's been the most issues as far as sentiment is concerned? I mean, it's been ehex. That's
the contrarian play.
Contrarian play, yeah. So going against the crowd, we talked about that earlier, right? Like that is as far as the Richard Hart tickers, that is literally going against the founder. It's interesting to consider.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'll
I agree with
comment
this.
on this.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead, Dane. You start it.
Okay. Yeah, I just don't think, like, let's be really clear here. Everyone says that they would never do a sacrifice. Well, everyone says they wouldn't buy certain things or they would do certain behaviors. But green candles change everything. Like, people have a memory of a goldfish. It changes everything. And you start to see, but this is what we're all waiting for, right? Like, everyone is waiting to determine where is sentiment at, where is interest, and where is it going to shift, when is it going to shift. And we all want to buy the things that are going to perform well, that you feel good about. So that's why we're talking about the price charts here, and we're saying, hey, what is the market saying right now about these assets? Well, we talked about what it's been saying, and so we want to use the data to make some decisions. The OGs have largely sold out their EHEX. Many
I
of
would
them
argue the OGs don't buy PHEX either. OGs don't buy PHEX. They don't buy EHEX. They don't buy PHEX. They sell PHEX. That's what OGs do. They don't need to buy PHEX. They've been in since day one. They got in early. They've created this money printer, if you will. I mean, you have people like Gunther who has like 15,000 T shares or some crap. Like, these guys are they're just perpetual selling machines. And I would say, at least with EHEX, you would have a retail component that could come over and buy it very easily from the Ethereum side, where there's not a lot of liquidity. Is it the premier asset? No, of course it's not, and I get that, but it's definitely I think, in my opinion, a good lottery. I say OGs aren't buying either one. I'm not relying on OGs to buy either one. Yeah, RH could pump PHEX, but retail could come in and buy. Look at EHEX today. Why is it up 20% versus everything else? Like, it's pumping. Who's buying that? Who's doing that? Like, it's going to happen. Don't knock it off your list as a lottery ticket play, at the very least, in my opinion. That's me, my money, and speculating. And no financial advice, of course. It can get wrecked tomorrow. Anything can. But, yeah.
Let's go in here and see. I'm curious. Who is buying? That's an excellent question. We can go in here to Deck Screener. Let's have a look. Let's look at EHEX. I'm curious. Let's say more than like $5,000 clips.
I would move the price. Yeah, it acts like a meme coin. $5,000 moves the price.
How much does it move it? That's an interesting.
Probably quite a bit.
Because I think most of the liquidity is over on Pulse chain for even EHEX, isn't it?
It is. It is. It's tied with Pulse for the most part.
So if we go, it's interesting. So we look at Hex from Ethereum. I'm just doing this on my computer. I'm not sharing my screen right now. You guys don't even need to see this. This is boring. Let's just see. I did, what is that? 1 billion pults into EHEX. Piteous all around. I mean, you're not incurring hardly any slippage on that. You're able to get on $4,500. You're able to get 4,500.
A billion pulse? A billion pulse is not 4,500. A billion pulse is like.
Is that 100? Is that 100 million?
That's 45,000 is a billion pulse.
It's 100 million. Yeah, I'm sorry. I had one too many. I was saying one too many zeros. So, I mean, yeah. I mean, we could go do some sleuthing right now. It's kind of cool. So, I mean, it's not at least according to Piteous here, but this is saying 0, so that's not right either. Let's go to Uniswap. Piteous routing has been funky the last few days.
I agree. You could go direct to source on it. Most of the time when it's these assets, it's just PulseX that it's buying it from. Most of the time, if it's the RH tickers, that's where it's grabbing its liquidity anyways. So I just go direct to source when it's the RH tickers.
Yeah, let's do it.
Try PulseX, yeah. And I would imagine PulseX V2 would probably be where most of the liquidity is at. Could be wrong. I don't see why it'd be in V1. There's no ink farms for a V1.
Let's see.
Yeah, this should give you a pretty accurate.
Where's the most liquidity, though? Is it with wrapped ETH? We might have to look at it there to see a better. Yeah, your slippage isn't bad.
What? How much?
1.5%.
Oh, that's crazy. I imagine it to be a lot more than that, and that is EHEX, right? Not
Yeah, let's make sure. I'm pretty sure I got the right one. Hex from Ethereum. Yep, that's it.
okay. Yeah. It actually says hex from Ethereum there. Okay.
That
Yeah,
shit's
I mean, that's not bad. I mean, if you were trying to get a position into it, you know, I saw Briz. He was, going around on Twitter. God bless your heart, bro, because I don't have the stamina that you do to go on Twitter and fight all those guys. But he was arguing how these meme coins, a lot of them, you go to sell like a couple grand worth, and you're incurring anywhere from 15 to up to 50% slippage on some of this stuff. And you can go into any RH asset, and even if you want to sell $100,000, $500,000, I mean, $500,000 will put a big, it would hurt, but it can incur the hit, where these meme coins just get slaughtered. They get slaughtered when you try to even sell a couple grand, and you take a lot of slippage. So it's very encouraging that even EHEX, which is the most contrarian and hated RH asset right now, is able to take some buy and sells through it.
Yeah, it's interesting. And I mean, to your point, I mean, the buy volume is only 82K, the sell volume 53K. So there's only a difference, what, of like 30K there.
Yeah, that's pretty powerful for EX. It is. That's pretty powerful, right? It might not be for Pulse.
No, it won't. No.
Yeah,
It's
but
too
that's
heavy. But yeah, it's like a 20% gain. That's really interesting. And
yeah.
most of the buying, I mean, you guys, let me share this tab.
I'm not sleeping on it.
So
Briz, I
you
know
guys,
your thesis on it. I get it, but it's definitely a good lottery play. If you like meme coins, why not add in EX as one of your meme coins? Like, I don't know, man. It just for me, I can buy and sell through it. I'm able to buy and sell through it without getting wrecked. Where like if I go and buy one of these meme coins, $2,000 gets me wrecked.
I'm trying to see over here on the right. So if you guys are less familiar with this, it's kind of cool. You can come here on Deck Screener. You can filter the transactions. So for instance, I just have this filtered as buys more than 2,500 bucks at a time. And you can see over here on the right, yeah, you can see what these wallets are doing, how much they're accumulating. Is there anybody that's bought a lot? 21,000, 20. Oh, look at this guy. So here's one. Bought 200K, sold 170K. Let's take a little closer look. Oh, is this the Jared from Subway address?
Oh,
Jared from Subway.eth. Interesting.
I've seen that wallet around.
I have too, yeah.
It's been around for a while. I don't know whose it is or who it belongs to.
But I mean, you can come in here if you want and do some sleuthing. Yeah, that wallet's doing a fair amount of buying right now. Actually, a lot of buying. In the last 7 days, a lot of these buys are that wallet. Interesting. So, I mean, there's people out there that want to buy it, right?
Yeah.
Or
Well, if Brizology is
the
bullish
last
on
2
EHEX,
days.
Briz is bullish on EHEX now, then I'm bullish on EHEX now. This is it. That's if Briz is saying he loves EHEX, I'm all in, bro. Oh my god.
Yeah, do it, Oliver. Let's create some green candles here, man. This is great. Go ahead and buy some. Let's do it.
My next DCA is going to be. I'm not DCAing right now. My last DCA was last week in the Pulse X and Inc. My next one will probably be at the end of this week or beginning of next. So we'll see what EHEX looks like then. And once again, it's still a lottery ticket for me, so I'll treat it like a lottery ticket. And yeah, we'll see. We'll see if Hex is developing any structure, if it's holding that structure. And we'll see if Pulse has got any structure. I'd like to see some structure there. That'd be nice. I mean, that's the spear, right? That's how Sami calls it. That's the spear of the ecosystem. We need that to stabilize, for the entire ecosystem to stabilize. And I would like to see that happen before really starting to put some big money into it again.
Yeah. Yeah, Paul, this is good. 250x for EHEX from our recent lows, 31 cents. Yeah, I could get there. May take 16 months. I mean, in fact, here's a question for you guys. Do you think that we have 16 more months? Like, do you think that this bull run, I just have a hard time seeing it going. I don't think we have that much time.
I think if we're following the cycles, your first altcoin season tops out in the beginning of this year, beginning of next, and then you have a second altcoin season somewhere in like May or June, and then that's like your, if you're following the cycles, that's where exactly the timing is, and then that's it. Now you can have more gains in Bitcoin and Ethereum beyond that. And that's why a lot of people, they'll play the altcoin game and they'll go into Bitcoin because you can still get some more gains because the bull run's not quite over for the blue chips. But for the altcoins, I don't know, 16 months, I feel like they're already in another bear market. You could be seeing some pretty serious downward pressure by then, at least in the altcoins.
Yeah, this is a great take. I mean, I think this is most people. Newbie to the RH, coins,
100%.
more Pulse X and Pulse. Yeah,
that is 100% accurate, man. That is 100% accurate. Nah, man, I think we stay on cue with the cycle. I mean, Sami's been kind of covering it too on his YouTube channel. I don't see why we deviate. I would like to see like a elongated super cycle, and maybe that happens, and maybe I get left behind on some of my backs because of it. I would love to see that happen. I'm just not counting on it. The same way, like I'm not counting on the left translated cycle where Bitcoin tops out sometime this year and that's it. It's over. I'm not counting on that either. I think we're just following the cycles right to the T, and this time a different narrative is just not. It's just that it's a narrative. And so, yeah,
I agree. The one caveat that's
because of Hex, the way Hex ran.
It ran late, but also it ran late large, because there is a sacrifice. There is the impending excitement of Pulse change.
Yeah, I guess we got to see what's going on at that time, right? It's interesting to think about. Yeah, because Hex did run late. A Hex ran late, and then but Paul,
but also how much would you bet on that? Like, are you willing to bet a significant amount of money that it runs late and you being a bad?
Yeah, I mean, historically, Paul, we should see a first altcoin season towards the end of the year, beginning of the year, and a second one somewhere in the middle of the year. That's like historically what we'd see. Like, do we run differently? I don't know. We didn't so far. We've been running right on cue so far. It's the same. We're following the cycle perfectly right now. Even our assets are. We ran with that little altcoin season we had pre-halving. We ran with it. We did a 5x on Pulse. We did a 7 or 8x on Pulse X. We did a 15x on Inc. Like, we ran with the altcoins. Is that going to happen again? I don't know. There are some whales who could say and make this time different for sure. They could change the trajectory of it. That's interesting to think about. Yeah.
I think that I'll feel incredibly comfortable taking profits in the spring across the board.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that either. I don't think. Also, depending on where, what's going on in the ecosystem, like what has happened with the 4 rockets that I talk about all the time is obviously we'll probably have ETH ETF money coming in. That's kind of like already a given. But, is there clarity around the court case, or did it get pushed off into 2025? Is there going to be RH streams? Is there going to be privacy? All these things matter, and where they get placed in the cycle, they also matter. But right now, it looks like they're kind of getting placed towards the end of the year. So I don't know. It could line up perfectly with the altcoin season. I don't know. But we've got to follow along and see what happens. because to Paul Sexton's point, Hex did run really late in the cycle.
Well,
So
it did its last final leg up. It ran hard the whole time.
that's
It did
true.
its last final leg up late.
Yeah, I
So,
got news for you. I don't have to sell the perfect top, especially if we get a very explosive, altcoin season in our ecosystem, or our ecosystem really takes off. I don't have to sell the perfect top. In fact, I'd rather not sell the perfect top than round trip my bags.
yeah, I'd rather
Does that
hedge.
make sense? Like, I'm not round tripping my bags. That's just, I'm not doing it. And I'd rather sell a little early if that happened, and I'll just party with you guys. I'll still have I'm not gonna. I'll probably sell like 80% of my bag. I don't know. I'll have to assess it when time comes. But I'll still be partying with you guys if it still continues to run. I mean, I don't need to sell the perfect top. I'm not round tripping. I watch like the Coinfessions, Dane. Like, you see those stories and you see like everyone in the Hex community, like everyone round trip their bags. Not everybody, but like the majority. And there's a lot that round trip. I am not falling into that statistic, man. I'm not. It is very scary.
Yeah. Thanks for this data, Paul. I was trying to look it up real quick. I couldn't remember. Yeah, it says EHEX has started its run after the ETH top, 31 days after BTC top in 2021. Watch for the repeat again. I don't know, man. I mean, this is one of those things, right? There's been so many. So, how many people are like 50-week shakeout and then we go up? Like everything isn't going to be the same. Does this necessarily, like, how big a bet are you willing to make on the idea that if you see Bitcoin rolling over and you see ETH rolling over, like, are you willing to keep a considerable amount of chips in the game when you start to see that?
And how many X's have you already had?
I think I think it largely depends on that for many people, right? If you're up a significant amount, and then like it feels fine taking profits. If you're not up that much, people are probably a little more willing to wait and see.
Just don't be caught offside there, Paul, and round trip your bags. I look, 95, maybe even more percent of the community and the people you see on Twitter and all, they're going to round trip. Make no mistake. They will round trip their bags. It's just how this game works. And so be very careful falling into that trap.
There will be plenty of reasons to feel like it's there that you shouldn't sell. And I'll tell you this is interesting, Corey. I've thought about this a lot over the last year, as it's just funny how like the market can condition you, and you want to make sure that your recency bias doesn't screw up how you invest. I with the with yeah with pretty much mostly downside the last year, outside of being on Solana, or Bitcoin, you pretty much haven't like experienced much euphoria. It's really fascinating to consider. In fact, the best decision up to this point would have been to sit in Bitcoin and then watch that ETH ratio here. And then potentially, this will be interesting to monitor, but potentially go and sit in ETH and then wait for the SAC wallet to come in and start buying things, and then rotate and follow along. Like, that might have been the best play the whole time, which is pretty interesting to consider. We'll see if that's the case at the end of this bull run. I'm really fascinated to wait and see. But man, like, I find that since there hasn't been much euphoria for a year and a half, there's been some, don't get me wrong, but there hasn't been much. I'm grateful for that, because it's got me into a place where I feel a lot more comfortable selling. I'm not as fearful of getting left behind, and I think it's important to be able to have the ability to sell, right? You don't want to be married to your bags, and so many people are. It's easy to have a goal and say, oh, I want to get to this much
Yeah,
ownership
what
of
was the point of
stock.
even doing this? Like, if you're not gonna go and make some money this cycle, like, really, like, what's the point? Like, it was like, oh, well, T shares and it's the future and all this. Like, the longer you wait and push out, the more risk you're taking. Pay yourself. You went through a lot of pain. You went through a lot of dollar cost averaging your hard earned dollars. Like, pay yourself some money this cycle. It doesn't have to, if you don't want to get all out, I get it. But make a plan. Maybe it's like, okay, if I see a 15x from here, I'm getting 50% of my bag out if it lines up with the cycle, right? I guess I never want to go off of X's, but you want to go off of the cycles where you're at in the cycle. But you should definitely have a plan put in place, and you should definitely like take some profits, man. Like, don't round trip everything. You guys put in a lot of work, a lot of work, a lot of money. You've been here for a while. You've been through the pain. You've been through all the FUD. Like, now you're going to get rewarded. If you get rewarded and you don't take the reward, like someone goes and puts the reward on the table for you and you're like, nah, I don't want the reward. Now, like, what? Like, you guys sat through so much pain. Take the reward. You deserve to pay yourself.
I think yeah, this is a great question. So a lot of people talk about, I feel like this is your typical influencer, like, have a plan. Well, but what does a good plan actually look like? When do
Mm-hmm.
you get off a rocket? And so a few different things that we've talked about that we're looking at. I'm telling you, I think that the number of Coinbase downloads is a really interesting data point. So on iOS, the Coinbase app was the most downloaded app. I think the last cycle, like top on the day. I think the previous cycle was within 2 weeks, being the most downloaded app on Apple, on the Apple App Store. So I think that's an interesting one to be paying attention to. And it gets top 10, top 5. My finger's gonna be on the trigger, waiting to see what to do. I mean, and then you're also looking at, once again, you don't need to sell the perfect top, but if you can get in there and have a plan and be looking at the charts, I mean, we'll be reviewing them here. We'll be talking about what we're doing, and we're happy to tell you when we're taking profits. We'll be actively talking about, hey, like, it may be time to consider how you're building your portfolio right now. And you're trying to gather information from different sources. So I want to see on the charts. I want to see charts rolling over. We've gotten a lot better at selling some of the tops. Sold the gift chart top on the day. That was pretty nice. Sold some of the other ones top on the day.
I did too. It was good.
It's good.
And I will argue this on Brazology. Yes, I agree with this. But if I had a crystal ball in real estate, I love real estate, right? So I'm going to use this as an example. If I had a crystal ball, and in that crystal ball, it tells me where the potential top and bottoms are at. It doesn't have to be perfect. In real estate, I'm gonna develop an investment thesis around that. Crypto, one of the best things that we have here in this space, and it's one of the selling points I use for real estate investors, is like, we have the ability to tell where we're at in the cycle, usually down to the month or so, give or take. It can vary a little bit, but there's no question that we're right on track with the cycle right now. And if you have that information and that data in front of you, then instead of like, okay, let's say your goal is 10,000 T shares. Well, okay, so like build your hex bag up where you would have maybe accumulated 1,000 T shares, but instead of locking those T shares in, you sell the top and then use all that money to buy all that hex back at the bottom again. Maybe you got your 10,000 T shares. There's a good example of like, you can really amplify your crypto holdings by playing the cycle. And somebody who I really like who does this, has been doing it for a long time, is Bob Lucas. He's a OG Bitcoin kind of maxi guy. He's been around for a long time. I'm sure you know who he is, Brazology. And he kind of created he was one of the ones who created the 4-year cycle, and he kind of spotted that out. And then one of the unique things about it, he spotted out, is that it also follows a 4-year global liquidity cycles. And so like, it's just, if you know this information and data and you want more crypto, I want more crypto too. I'm on board with this ideology. but you can play your hand in a way where you can go and 10x your holdings. Like, I'm sorry, like, but like the guys who sold the hex top this last time, and there was a lot of them. It wasn't all of them, of course. It was like 2 or 5%. Those guys are getting 10 times more T shares now if they want that, if that's their goal or their plan, than they got by, just holding it through. I'm sorry. It's just these are narratives, and these narratives don't hold true. The cycle is the second, we call it the second rule of crypto, that you don't go against the cycle. The first is security. First is security. You got to make sure your security's in order, because there's no point in getting scammed and hacked if you built a nice position up. That's stupid, right? Like give you all your goodies to a scammer or a hacker. But the second one is you don't bet against the cycles. You don't. The cycles hold true until it tells us differently. And there's always gonna be bears and bulls. Like that's just there's always summers and winters. There's always bears and bulls and bears. Like it's just how the world works. And we are gifted in the crypto space, that we know when these bulls and bears take place. Dude, use this information, this knowledge to your advantage. That's my 2 cents on it.
Yeah. Honestly, I want to grow my buying power to buy whatever it is that I want. And I don't care whether that be crypto, or I don't care whether it be the fiat systems. There's a time and a place for both. And I want to use them accordingly. Yeah.
Until it's gone, right? Like until the fiat system is gone, like I want to take on my family nice vacations. We want to have yacht parties. We want to hang out with friends and family and create memories now. I'm 47, right? Like I'm hoping I live to be 100 and plus. But like, what if I don't? I need to create memories now. I need to create experiences now with the ones who I love right now. And that's my goal. My idea of success is time freedom. I do what I want with whom I want, however I want, is my definition of success. And I want to make sure I'm facilitating that and breathing in that ethos all throughout this. Crypto is no different, even from real estate or these other tools I use, business ownership, to get to that, my definition of success. And so just be very careful with the narratives that you hear and you spin up. We have one life that we know of. Ideally, I believe more in that, but like, of right now, like live the best life, have goals in mind, go out there and create success for you and your family and your loved ones. Like what are you doing? Round tripping bags. Like, come on, guys. It's crazy to me.
Yep. Yeah.
That was good. Wait, where's what's his face to clip stuff? Why did he clip that? Where's I haven't seen him in a long time. Kaiser should he should have clipped that, man. Damn it. Where are you at, bro? We miss you. I hope you didn't capitulate.
Well, it's interesting. It's really interesting psychologically, because you work so hard, or it can feel like you've worked so hard to acquire these positions just to let them go again. And I think psychologically, yeah, it's
rough. It's rough. You know what I mean? It's selling in the tops and the euphoria that people don't want to do it, nor do they want to buy the bottoms. I mean, like, dude, buying the bottom sucks ass, man. There's very little faith or confirmation around the asset you're buying. Everywhere you look, everyone's pointing at it and fudding it and talking shit about it and saying how it's like the worst investment. And you're throwing, $10, $20, $30,000 clips at it. And it's like, what? It's like, what am I doing? And you question your own self on that. And it's going to be the same at the top. And that's the way the game is meant to be played. You buy when people are fearful, you sell when they're greedy. It's the old Warren Buffett saying that. Warren Buffett's one of the richest guys in the world for a reason, because that's the game he plays. And his long game is to keep accumulating more. But he plays when he buys when people are fearful, and he sells when they're greedy. It holds more true in crypto than any other asset class. And any other asset class we can see with a crystal ball where we're at. It's so great. I love this asset class. I love it.
This is an interesting comment. Yeah, what is the chart? Let me go over here. So what's the all-time low on PHEX? It was
right now, or a few days ago.
It's about 2005.
It didn't hit 203 in the SEC FUD. Maybe I was mistaken. I could be mistaken. I thought it hit like 2033
I'm
or
looking
something.
in USD terms.
That's what that's what I mean. But you might be right. You might be right.
From what I'm seeing, yeah, it looks like it's recently. So it's like 205-ish,
Yeah,
roughly speaking.
half a
So
penny. Yeah, you get a 10,000 X from a half a penny, and that puts you somewhere like I think it's like $5.55 or something like that. Or it's funny I say that number $5 5555 could be somewhere in that range, right?
no, is that?
Is it, or is it $55? Is it 10,000 X
Oh, it's
$55?
50. Yeah, $50.
Okay, or $50. Yeah.
$50.
So you would need to lose, and you would need to lose.
I think we're seeing $50 this cycle, sir.
I mean, doesn't it only go up to the right? That's what those guys were telling us last time.
T shares do.
Only T shares, right? But they were dumping on our heads and traveling the world and doing things that, you know.
Oliver says, Oliver is saying he's trying to buy 5K. Wow, guys, I have 50% slippage on rat pulse to EHEX on 5K. Where are you buying? We looked at PulseX on stream, and I'm not seeing that. Yeah, if you go Pulse to EHEX.
PulseX V2, right? Was that what you're on? And I'll be right back when we're.
Yeah, let's look at this real quick. Right here. No, this one. Oh, 9-inch. Yeah, if you're on 9-inch. 5K Pulse at 3. I don't know about that trade. Yeah, if you go over here to PulseX, I mean, I think this one was better, so we need to be a little bit more to get to 5K. What is that? Not too much. Pretty close. There you go. There's 5,000 bucks worth of Pulse to Hex on Ethereum. If you come over here, I think you get better order execution. Yeah. And we could compare. Let's see. We got a 9-inch .io. Let's share this one. And the DEX. So if we're going to swap Pulse for X.
PulseX says 1.69% slippage on Piteous. Yeah.
2917282. Yeah, you get a little bit better order execution on PulseX if you want to go by EHEX. Yep, just do some shopping. See what you get. I'm telling you guys, we're finding it looks like the charts are wanting to bottom here. Pulse and Hex are looking like they might want to bottom here.
Nice.
PulseX and Ink have been holding up pretty well here. I don't, like we were talking about yesterday, I don't think we, go and do a 10X overnight. I'm pretty comfy, like waiting around. I have some money I'm sitting on in stables right now, waiting to be able to deploy it just to a place that I feel more comfy. And I think we're getting close. I really do. I think we're getting close, especially if you're here.
We're definitely a lot closer to the bottom than the top, Dane.
That's true. If you're here every day, though, seriously, like if you're here every day or most days, I think you can be pretty strategic with buying. There are a lot of examples with people last bull run, how they say they just take a few bucks out of their paycheck each month and buy. But man, like if you're willing to pay a little bit of attention, get better at your craft, you can find a lot better entry points than just blindly buying each time you get paid from your paycheck. You make a lot more money. So catch some of these bottoms. It'll be fun.
Even some basic TA, just the way that we're learning it, you don't have to be like the TA master like Hans or Sprack Berger. These guys are good at their craft, but a little bit of that knowledge, or at least following these guys, understanding what good structure looks like, it goes a long ways, than just FOMO buying every time we start going up, you start FOMO buying. It's like, that's just
or catching falling knives too.
Or the opposite. Right, the
One
opposite.
thing I'm telling you, Corey, that's one thing that really surprised me watching the Hex conference or the Pulse Chain one, the last one that Maddie put on. How many people there are people that you know are here every day? They're here watching the price charts every day, but they're not like, but then they're willing to blindly buy. I'm a little surprised by that. It's interesting to consider
And
how you want to build a portfolio. Yeah.
they're also willing to blindly just stake everything out 5 and not even give it consideration like that you need to pay yourself this cycle. It blows my mind.
Agreed.
Hence also why that exact same reason right there, Dane, that we just said, or you said, that is also why but Richard Hart comes out and sacrifice at the top with a bunch of green candles. A lot of people are going to go in that sacrifice. I really believe it. They're going to follow the same trajectory that they've always been following. And so, yeah, I this time is different. It's never different. Oh, I love this space. I do though.
Yeah, it's called, but yeah. There's a difference between like a strategic DCA and a blind DCA. If you want to blindly buy, by all means. But once again, if you're here consistently, you owe it to yourself to be able to look at a chart and within a certain measure of confidence say, now might be a decent time to buy, or maybe I'll hold back a little bit here and wait. You know what I mean? Like
planning your DCA is a little bit more strategic. You're still going to DCA, but like you don't want to DCA when stuff is pumping at 5x.
Yeah. Yeah, and frankly, I hope Richard does run another sacrifice so he has more funds to run it back for another cycle.
It would be fun.
We're here for it. Yeah. Cool, Corey. This has been good. Anything else you want to cover today? This has been good.
No, man. We did the long show because Brizology was talking shit yesterday to us, and then we did a short show because we're at the bottom. Maybe that's it. Like there is that sentiment. It's like, what are we going to talk about? Because like there's not a lot going on, and that's definitely a bottom type signal, at least bottom-ish, when there's just not a lot of like to get on and hoorah about and talk about. And so it's like, okay. We can engage the community, but even then it's like how much can you get into stuff? And so yeah. So maybe the bottom was yesterday, Dane. Maybe this green candle today. We did an 1 hour and 7 minute show to represent our green candle, and maybe the bottom was in yesterday. We'll see what happens. We'll see if our short show was in.
I would make a bet right now that it's not. I think that we come down and we at least double bottom on the Pulse and Hex. I think
bottom the entire price chart.
No, double bottom what we did
yesterday. Yeah. That's good.
That might be the bottom, but I think we'll come back.
That's good structure. Yes, right. I agree with that. Oh yeah, 120%. Yeah. Right. So bottom was a few days ago. One Gwei on ETH. Oh, that's definitely a bottom signal. Yeah. One Gwei on ETH. I would agree with that.
That was
one way for your Zen people out there. I hope you guys went out there and had a field day. I wasn't going to do it, but like for you Zen people.
Renting any more Zen? Is that a thing?
Oh, I saw it on Twitter. Oh yeah. There was people doing it.
If you talk about a contrarian play, that was the time to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's your Zen minting opportunity. People were paying like $200 for like a max VMU. Max length type of mint, where before that was ranging anywhere. I was paying about 600 and then
pay for it. I know some you people can go up 5K for those expensive days.
Like 250 when it was one Gwei, man. So if you're a Zen guy and you really believe in that, I'd rather spend my money elsewhere. But who knows? If you believe in that, you could really have minted a lot of Zen yesterday. Gone crazy. Yeah, but that price chart's just disgusting, man. I just can't. I can't get over it, man. It's just a look at it. No, the only thing that will save it is if stupid Plebin comes out. I like that name, Plebin. If Plebin comes out with the X1 chain and he's got to honor like Zen. The Zen can be used like a sacrifice or like used as to buy the X1 token. That's the only thing that'll save it. And there's a lot of speculation saying he's not going to even come out with the X1 chain for another like 1.5 to 2 years. Like, okay, so that's the next bear the next bear, Rich, like Richard Hart, right? Like the whole pulse chain, what happened there? Like is that what that's going to be? You know, so like it's not going to be this cycle. It could be, but I'm not betting on it. I got a small bag of it. I wish I'd have sold that bag actually a few weeks back, but what are you going to do?
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah. Cool, guys. Well, thanks for being here. If you haven't smashed the likes and subscribes already, we are here to pump everyone's bag. So please do that on the way out. You guys make the show what it is. We really appreciate you being here. We'll be here later this week, so make sure to tune in. With that, have a great day, guys.
Peace, guys.